Okay. I know that we usually have a little delay, so I am going to wait a minute and let people get on. Actually, found a new feature, some background noise. So we are going to get into it. Come into the room. Come into the room. And when you can hear me and see me, let me know. Everyone should be getting their alert. And hopefully you can hear the nice music I have on the background. I'm into the room. Let me see you in the comments. Let me hear you, and if you can hear me and see me. All right, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Hannah. Oh, thank you, Christopher. Welcome, welcome. We'll give a few more minutes. I know people are just getting their notifications. I like this new background music feature from StreamYard. Yes, and we are talking about burnout. So I wanted to give you guys something a little subtle and calming. Okay. All right. We are going to get started. Want to make sure that everyone and has the time to get through all of the information that we will be discussing today. So hello to everyone that is on. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Christy Venable, CEO of Smile Therapy Services. And we are a mental health and wellness consulting firm, really working with corporations and organizations to improve workplace culture through preventative wellness solutions, leadership development trainings, conflict resolution, mediation services. We also do wellness retreats, and we have a lot of great things coming out this year, new offerings. Make sure you are following me to learn more. But this is the end of Stress Awareness Month. And so today I really wanted to focus on executive leaders, but also entrepreneurs. And so that's where our focus will be on today, on managing burnout. But before we get started, we always want to make sure that you guys can be centered, kind of calm your spirit. You may have so much going on already today. And so we want to just do a mindful moment with you. And so I am going to bring up one of my therapists who does the most amazing mindful moments. And her name is Jave, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and get us started.
Hi, Christy.
Hey, how are
I'm
you?
I'm good. I'm good. I love that you all are talking about burnout. I think we all can use the self-care as we're leaving stress management month. I'm Jave Evans. I'm a licensed independent clinical social worker and a certified clinical trauma professional. And yes, I want to invite you into this moment that we are setting up here.
Yes,
So,
Jave, I'm going to jump off so you can get us going.
yes, okay. Thank you, Christy. So, as we come into this moment, I just want to give us permission that if your mind drifts off, it's okay. You're not in trouble. You have so many things on your mind. But in this moment, there's no judgment. We're just noticing. So, giving yourself that permission, I want to ground us in just noticing where we are. So, take a moment to look around in the room. noticing a few things that you see, noticing what you hear. And I want you to begin to widen your vision so you can see beyond the tunnel vision that we get into on our devices. And just notice the bigger picture over here and over here, sending those cues of safety to our bodies. And go ahead. I'm going to put one hand over my chest and one on my belly, taking a deep breath in slowly, breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Blow out 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In your nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Blow out 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now go ahead and I want you to begin to bring up a person, a memory, whatever feels right for you. It could be your pet, it could be your child, it could be a memory that you've had. And after you have that, I want you to begin to paint the picture, noticing who's there, what's happening, lowering your gaze or closing your eyes to really center in on this moment or memory. Holding an image, notice that person's face, their smile, and what they might be doing or what you're doing in this memory. Notice what you hear. The sounds might be soft or loud. If you're eating something or drinking something, take a moment to savor it and notice the taste and the texture. Notice how you feel, the air, the weight of the clothing. And if you feel a sensation that feels positive, content, or comfortable, or peaceful, allow that to grow from the bottom of your feet, moving all the way up through your legs, your belly, your chest, and your heart. Noticing your shoulders lowering and breathing into that. Now, as you begin to walk away from this memory or this person or loved one, hold on to their image as you slowly walk away, knowing that you can come back at any time. Breathe in deeply and slowly, and go ahead and sigh and release whenever your body's ready. Slowly opening your eyes, grounding your feet, feeling the support that is there, and come back to the here and now. Okay. Thank you for joining me for this mindful moment. It's always a pleasure, and you can always take a moment
Yes, thank you so much, Javed. That was so helpful. I definitely hope it was helpful for everyone else. We appreciate you for always coming on here and getting us censored and ready to receive the information. So thank you, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
Hey. Okay, everyone. So I hope that that was helpful for you. Sometimes we don't even take a moment to breathe, right? Just notice our breaths. And so we always want to make sure that we can provide these spaces for you all. And so we are going to get right into the presentation. And just give me a second. All right. Now we're going to get into it. And so today we are discussing something that is definitely vital, right? It's vital to all professionals. But today we're going to focus specifically for executive leaders and entrepreneurs. And so it's Stress Awareness Month, and everyone really needs to be aware of just how you're doing, how you're managing. And so today we're really going to be giving some practical strategies for managing stress and preventing burnout. And so let's just go straight into it. Here's our objectives. So we're going to touch on what is burnout, right? So identifying that, but also recognizing the signs. And then we're going to identify some root causes of burnout. Some of those unique stressors that particularly affect executives and entrepreneurs. And then we're going to work through some practical techniques on how to actually manage your stress and build resilience. And then we're going to create an action plan, right? Because you can do all these things and identify them, but if you don't have a plan of action, then you're going to continue to be in the same place. So, what exactly is burnout? Um, and a little later, we're going to do burnout versus stress because that is always a major question that people have. What's the difference? I have to just pause. I see my mother in the chat. Hey, Miss Money Venable. But I also see one of my teachers from high school, Dr. Diagne. Hello, hello, hello. Miss you so much. I literally haven't seen her in years. So I'm so happy that you joined. Um, and send me a message afterwards so we can connect. Okay. Now back. So, what is the definition of burnout? Burnout is it's really that level of exhaustion. It negatively impacts you. You have increased negative feelings, maybe toward work or anything else that you may have enjoyed doing. It really reduces your capabilities, right? And so when we think about burnout, think about you are at the end of your tank, right? There's no more gas in the tank. You're empty. That's how you can kind of have an image of like what burnout is. It's when you are still trying to run on fumes. And so some of the risk, you have different health risk. And so you have increased heart complications. A lot of people dealing with burnout also have a lot of stomach and bowel problems and a potential disruption to your diet. So there's a lot of physical risk and physical health ailments that actually come from being burned out. Um, amongst other things, and some of the professional impact. So reduce decision making capacity, your creativity and innovation definitely plunges. And then your leadership, right? It's impaired. And so no matter if we are a executive leader at a corporation, if we are an entrepreneur, or if we are the leaders in our own homes, we are all impacted by burnout. And so it's important to know. So here are some root causes, and I specifically kind of separated them out for executive leaders versus entrepreneurs, even though our stressors cross reference and sometimes we're dealing with some similar things, right? And so for executive leaders, excessive demands, right? So a demanding job, you always maybe have something going on and you're working long hours. Increased workplace competition. Now, this is a really good one because you have to think about it. When you are trying to climb this ladder, there's so many, maybe other people that you are competing against to like get to the spot that you want to get to. But think about how exhausting that can be if you're always finding yourself in competition with someone because you both are trying to get to this place or both trying to get this position. And then poor workplace culture. And I actually can put a tag toxic workplace cultures or poor relationships. A lot of times that is one of the major issues. So even if you are a leader, let's say, your boss is toxic or your workplace culture is very negative, that directly impacts your stress level, which can lead to burnout. Okay. Um, and then work life balance challenges. So, really understanding how do you balance it all, right? Especially if you are C suite level, how do you really balance your family life? And your professional life. A lot of people have issues with that, really trying to figure that out. What does that look like? And I will say it's different for everyone. But then some of the entrepreneur stressors, chronic overwork and long hours. So even though a lot of people go into their own business because they're looking for freedom. But what I will tell you as a entrepreneur business owner of almost 10 years, baby, freedom, you have to be able to set that up for yourself. Now, do you get some perks, right? That working in a workplace does not give you? Yes. However, when you are starting your business out and you are really trying to get everything off the ground, and if you're in a pivot phase, right, you are going to work a lot of hours. So that could be a stressor. Isolation a lot of times are stressors. And so, sometimes as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you may not have a group of a community where you can really go to and they understand you. And so that's a big part. But also entrepreneurs may feel like um, they can't talk to anyone or they don't want to, right? Because of pride, like I should have this figured out. And so sometimes we isolate ourselves. And so that could be one. Lack of delegation. So, really being able to not take on everything yourself as the business owner and make sure you are delegating things appropriately. And then, similar as executive leaders, poor work life balance, right? Understanding when to cut it off, right? You're the business owner, so it's like kind of like you're always in it, but when to cut it off and when to make sure that you are really taking care of yourself, but then also having those family moments. Um, Thank you. Amy says, I would add the relationship stress as entrepreneur. That toxicity can happen as different spouses grow in their leadership. Thank you for that. That's a really, really good one. Also, think about what relationship stress, right? If you are a business owner, but then your spouse works at a 9 to 5, right? Sometimes when you are dealing with other people that really don't have their entrepreneur mindset, they can't fully understand maybe why you're working so much, what you're doing all this for. Like, it is just you're on different kind of levels, right, of understanding as it relates to work. So that definitely is a relationship stressor. Thank you so much, Amy, for pointing it out. Please also add any other ones. I just put some um some core ones, but there's so many other root causes of burnout and the different stressors that we as both executive leaders but also entrepreneurs are managing. But for the sake of time, I just added a few, but please add more. What are you experiencing? What are some of your stressors that you are managing, whether you're a leader or entrepreneur, that you feel like is contributing to burnout? So continue to put that in the comments. I will highlight those as they come through. And so burnout, what is the impact? And I want us to fully understand that burnout is not just a buzzword, it is real. And sometimes we are burnt out and we don't even know it. But what are some of the impacts? So, our physical health, weakened immune system, right? Some people think about burnout and stress and they think it's all just, oh, that's in your head. But remember, we are interconnected as humans. Our spiritual health, our physical health, our emotional health, all of those things are interconnected. So when one is off, it directly contributes to the other. So weakened immune system, insomnia can be an issue, chronic fatigue. That's just a couple ways you see that physical piece. And so when you have those weakened immune systems, you start to see more ailments come, right? You may have high blood pressure. You may start getting, you may be diagnosed with diabetes or heart disease. All of those things are connected. So that's physical health. And then mental health, it may be causing you increased depression, increased anxiety, or you start having some cognitive impairment. So you really can't maybe remember things, or things are like fragmented inside of your head because you're so stressed out. Those are some of the impacts of burnout as it relates to your mental health. And then for your professional impact, decreased productivity, right? Tell me, how many of us are productive when you are not feeling well, when you're stressed out? How productive are you? Not really, right? We most of the time, we don't feel like we even want to do maybe anything because we're so fatigued. And so it has a direct impact on your professional productivity, and then impaired decision making. You have a difficult time making decisions. Maybe you don't make the right decisions. All of those things can be impacted. And then how effective are you as a leader? And when you're dealing with burnout, sometimes, when your decision making is impaired, when you're less productive, less focused, all of those things may make you a little more ineffective as a leader during this time. And then let's think about how does that then translate to workplace and organization. And we're going to think about this for both, because entrepreneurs directly impact their organizational costs, right? If it's their company, but also executive leaders, they directly impact their organizational costs. Um, and so, hold on, Amy just had something come in. Yeah. We're not productive or focused. Emotional regulation is key, but a muscle to be built. Exactly. Um, exactly. If you are, not feeling your best, if you are dealing with, increased depression, increased anxiety, you can't focus. And you may not be able to regulate your emotions as well because of because of everything that's going on, because you're so stressed. Thank you, Amy, for that. And then with organizational costs, burnout for executives, right? Increased turnover. Maybe, that direct correlation from the job is causing you burnout. And so, you find yourself leaving the job, or executives find themselves leaving your company, because they're so burnt out. And so higher absenteeism is a real thing. When we are dealing with burnout, how many of us just like, you know what, I'm calling out today. Um, I need to take a sick day. I need to take a mental health day. You are more willing to not even want to go in, even for entrepreneurs, right? You are, because you are feeling um, really so stressed out, then you may not show up even for yourself, in your own business. And then it can also lead to reduced team morale. And so if you are a executive leader and you're over a number of people, it can definitely lead to your team's morale being decreased because you're burnt out, and it's probably trickling down to everyone. All right. So we have to make sure that we are definitely paying attention to the signs. So speaking of the signs, how do we recognize it? What are some things that we look for? So I have a few categories here: emotional, physical, and behavioral. So for emotional signs, start looking for irritability. Irritability. So are you so irritated over every little thing? Are things making you frustrated that you would not normally be frustrated for? Do you have a loss of motivation? So you used to be motivated to do this thing, this thing, this thing, and now you find yourself, just being like, you know what, I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it. That loss of motivation for things that we used to want to do is a big key for that. And then maybe finding yourself detached. And so this can look like you are maybe at work, but you're not there, right? You're there, but you're not there. So you're there physically, but emotionally, you're not there. And same for entrepreneurs. Maybe you're showing up for your clients, but you're really not there for them. So that's an emotional sign. Some physical. We talked about fatigue area earlier, but chronic fatigue. That's a big piece. And then having sleep disturbances. So whether that is you can't really sleep or you're sleeping a lot. So it could be either or. Another physical sign is headaches. And I know for myself, when I'm really stressed, I get a headache, tension headache right in the back of my head. And then it kind of goes into my neck. That's when I know I am stressed. So watch out for those physical signs because our body does let us know when something is wrong with us. Okay. And then some behavioral signs. And so maybe you start to procrastinate more, like because you don't want to do it. So you're procrastinating. Maybe you're starting to withdraw from friends, family, or isolate yourself. And then watch your performance. Is your performance decreasing? Like, are you having mistakes that you wouldn't normally have? Um, all of those are behavioral signs. And then you guys can let me know in the chat what other things may be coming up for you that you're noticing even in yourself, and you feel like, you know what, Christy, I think I am, kind of on a verge of burnout. You can let me know that in the chat, and I'm gonna highlight some comments. Not me. I worry about everything, about nothing, and pray about everything. Yes. So that is definitely, something important, right? Us to make sure that we're keeping our faith. But even with our faith, that faith doesn't mean we're not stressed. Doesn't mean we don't get stressed. So it's definitely important for us to make sure we're noticing, what's coming up for us. Great information. Hi, Hope. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll keep it going. So here's the leadership burnout crises by the numbers. 82% of executives have reported feeling like they were burned out. All right, 82% is a huge number. And then 87.7 entrepreneurs struggle with at least one mental health issue. And think about all of the entrepreneurs slash business owners we have. And 87% of them say they have at least one mental health issue. And then 84% of workers feel workplace conditions contribute to their mental health struggles. So that is major as well. So executive leaders take note of that, because what are we doing to really support our employees in the workplace as well with burnout, right? Today we're talking about executive leaders and entrepreneurs, but let's not forget that we also have our employees who help us to, make our businesses, kind of run effectively and efficiently. Well, if they're burnt out and their productivity is going down, then that costs us. So we have to make sure that we continue to look at how do we respond? How do we view and respond to mental health and wellness inside of the workplace? It's super important. Um, Dr. Hannah says, missing or forgetting items, tags I usually wouldn't is a telltale sign for me that I'm experiencing stress or burnout. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Same. Definitely same. And as we just look at these statistics, think about even what Dr. Hannah said. If we have over 82% of executives that are feeling burnt out, and one of their issues or with that burnout comes forgetting items and tasks, think about how that affects us in the workplace. Think about the cost of that. Burnout actually costs companies and organizations over $300 billion a year. Let that sink in. And then we can understand why this is so important for us to get a hold of. So I wanted to just give you a actual visual of stress versus burnout. And so I'm going to put it here for a little bit just so you can read through it. But I want you to fully understand that stress and burnout are definitely different. And it's like burnout is like the big, let's say burnout is like the big sister to stress, right? Because you have stress first, and then that leads to burnout. And so I'll go over a couple of them and then kind of give you a tagline to remember both stress and burnout. So let's say energy level. So energy level, over engaged and hyperactive for stressed, if you're stressed. But if you're burnt out, disengaged and drained, right? Emotions for stress, anxiety, urgency, irritability. For burnout, apathy, hopelessness, detachment. As we're looking at this, look at what is the difference. And then drop your thoughts in the comments. Um, Mental state, worry about performance, for stress. If you're burnt out, feeling nothing you do makes a difference, right? Um, Warning signs, trouble concentrating, sleep issues. For burnt out, emotional numbness, a sense of failure. Think about what is the difference here that we're seeing with when you're stressed out versus when you're burned out. And I'm gonna wait for a second to um see if anyone can kind of give me your thoughts around that. What's the difference? because it's a clear difference, right? Um, and it really refers to the level. It's the level for the two. And so I'll definitely wait for your thoughts, and then I'll give you this tagline, which I thought was a great way to explain stress versus burnout. And so it says stress is like running too fast for too long. But burnout is when the tank is empty and you're still pushing forward. And so I want you to really think about that. Are you stressed out, right? Like you're going too fast, and you've been doing it too long? Or are you burnt out? Do you know that there is nothing left in the tank and you are running on fumes? Give me your thoughts around that. I see some things that have come into the chat. Amy says, stress is something that can be good and motivating, but burnout is depletion. Exactly. Exactly. That word depletion, meaning you have nothing left. Thank you for that. Love that. Nervous system dysregulation is a big alert. Yes. When you can really no longer regulate, all the things that's going on. You may be hyper vigilant, you know, may have hyper arousal for things. It's just you're constantly dysregulated. Thank you so much for that, Amy. Um, but it's so important for us to really understand what it is, how it impacts us, and then move on to what we actually can do. So here's some strategies, and I wanted to start with resilience strategies first, because I do think resilience is helpful. Um, However, we're going to talk about kind of when resilience is not helpful. So how can you improve these resilience strategies? Reframe challenges. So looking at your obstacles as opportunities for growth. And so we're going to have challenges for the rest of our lives, right? No one is exempt. But how do we look at that and say, you know what? Okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? And what do I take from this to kind of, get to where I need to be. Let me take this let me take this L, right? This loss, if it's a loss, or you know what? I'm having this challenge here, but what do I do to kind of go around it or use that as a stepping stone to get where I want to go? So it's really looking at, having that growth mindset, right? But then positivity. So practicing gratitude and just focusing on your achievements. One, I know for sure entrepreneurs, we don't do this enough, but I also don't think leaders or people in general do this enough. There's so many things for us to be grateful for, and we don't put enough emphasis on our achievements like we do on our next step, right? We could win this award, do this thing. It's like, oh yeah, I did this, I won this. But then it's like, all right, what's next? What am I doing next? Even just in society, it's always like, what's next? What's the next thing? Instead of really being able to sit in your achievement and have gratitude for that thing. So I think really fostering that positivity is going to be helpful for us, especially with burnout, right? Because you may get to the point where you don't have any motivation and you have to look at, what did I achieve? What have I achieved? And sit in that gratitude. That in itself can help bring your mood up. So making sure you're also building positive relationships and meaningful. So we may have a lot of relationships. We have family, friends, but not all of them are positive. So we have to, and sometimes it's difficult, but you have to cut off those people who drain you, who bring you down, and you have to um, continue to build with those people who want to see you win, who are building you up, who brings life to you. So that's important. And then it says allow vulnerability. So one thing I think when it comes to resilience is we have to be okay with not being okay. When things are going wrong, and I'm a very solution focused person. However, I have made a post about when resilience, what did I say? When resilience is actually negative. And I feel like if you are constantly, you're getting hit with different things, but you are constantly just trying to go, 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 just trying to deal with it and, but not really sitting in it and being able to really say, like, how is this making you feel? Right. And process through that, then I think it becomes harmful. And so give yourself that space to sit in this. Okay. Um, thank you, Mason. Mason just says great content, Christy. Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's do that, right? Because I think that's a part of resilience as well. That vulnerability part is a part of being resilient. So let's make sure that um, we're able to do that. It's so important for our mental health. And then just some other strategies. Boundaries. People do not do a good job of boundaries, right? Whether that's work life, meaning, when are you going to start working? I know I'm not good at it either, right? So I would say I'm definitely not good at it as an entrepreneur, but making sure that we are setting up our boundaries. Because if you're working all night and you're working all day, right, you are going to be more prone to burnout. So having boundaries around work, having boundaries around, friends, friendships, family, all the things. Make sure you're setting boundaries, how people treat you. Have boundaries around that, right? Because sometimes for leaders, entrepreneurs, we're in a space where we help a lot of people. But when does that actually become harmful for ourselves? So make sure you have boundaries around that. And then delegating. Make sure that you are delegating as much as you can. Get the support you need. Don't try to do everything yourself, which goes to the next one, releasing your control. Trust your team, right? Utilize your team. That's what they're there for. So really make sure you're doing that. That's something that will help you manage your stress as well. And then just some other self-care approaches. So our mental wellness. If you are an entrepreneur or an executive leader, if you don't have a therapist, you need to get one today. For me, it's a non-negotiable. I don't think that you should be a leader of any of any in any place, whether it's an entrepreneur or you're leading in a corporation, without having a therapist. Why? Because we are dealing with too much not to be able to process, right? And we have so much baggage, many of us, from our when we were either growing up or back in our younger days, that we need an objective person to help us work through all of that as we continue to manage the day to day. So a therapist should be a non-negotiable for you. You can definitely get a coach as well, right? So get a coach too. I would say difference, because we really try to make sure that people understand what's the difference between a coach and a therapist. And so a coach is really going to kind of help you like prioritize things, right? Be your accountability partner, help you to get things in place, help you to for that time management, right? Um, a therapist, we go deeper. So it's about not only can we help you with the time management, getting things in place. But we can also go deeper and process through some of the traumas, and that is maybe causing you to show up in the way that you are. Right. So it's definitely a line. And so someone maybe like myself who can provide both. So I am a licensed therapist, licensed professional counselor, but I also do coaching. So if you want someone who can help you on an even greater level and you want that coaching feel, then you get a coach that is also a therapist. Okay. Um, and peer support. That's also helpful for your mental health and wellness. Getting to some peer groups to help you. Time management, sometimes people need help with that. So if you need help, just find someone to help you. Set some realistic goals. We talked about delegation, mindfulness. We did a mindful moment with you earlier. It's that easy. You can get an app. I would suggest you do some mindfulness every day. Only takes a few moments of your time. Daily meditation, and it helps you to reduce stress. And then for physical health, make sure you're getting enough sleep, water, right? I know some people that do not like to drink water. I just I don't even know how they're functioning right now. Nutrition, making sure making sure you're eating your fruits and vegetables, so important. And exercise. Even if you start out with just 5 minutes of walking, it is getting warm now in most places. Go outside for a walk. Allow nature to help heal you, and you get that physical activity in. Okay. So let's definitely do that. I see something that came through. Amy, I'll tell you guys, I'm a burnout coach going through a massive life transition at home and have a therapist. Everyone needs that objective third party when juggling a lot. Thank you, Amy. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this, I didn't see this earlier. Boundaries is key. Yes. Absolutely. We are dealing with so much. We need to just be processing at least once a week. I think, or once every 2 weeks. Make sure you are making that a part of your plan, which we're getting to next, your action plan. So really assess, where are you? Where are your stress levels? How is your anxiety? How is your depression? Reach out to me if you want to do a screener. We do different screeners that can really just show you kind of where you are. Quick screeners around depression, around anxiety. Let me know if you would like to do that, but evaluate that, evaluate that regularly. What's your stress level? What are some of your triggers? Right. um and then plan out, set your goals. Are they SMART goals? Make sure they're SMART goals, and be very specific on what types of stress management you really want to do. At the end of this, I am going to give you guys a link to my book, which will help you do these things, my self-care workbook. But after you plan, then implement. Sometimes we need accountability partners, and um, and that's okay, right? Because we're not always the best at implementing, but make sure that you are actually integrating the strategies that you plan for yourself inside of your daily routines. One thing I would suggest, put it on your calendar. I actually write on my calendar, when I'm going to do the different self-care things. And that way it's already planned inside. Okay. And then review. So really monitor your progress and adjust as needed, right? Because sometimes, depending on what's going on, we may need one thing over the other. So this is just a quick way on how to create your action plan. And then our path forward. Recognize that burnout is not a weakness. However, it's definitely a challenge, and it requires intentionality. And that is the piece that we have to make sure with all of this. Being intentional about our own self-care and about managing our own wellness is so important for us to minimize burnout. And then being able to really identify the signs. So we went over a lot of different signs: emotional, physical. Um, Pay attention to your body. It gives you the signs, but we don't always um, notice the signs. And even if we notice them, we don't always do anything about them. So it's so important. Don't just identify the signs, actually do something with them. And then implement your strategy. So really look at, I need an action plan for my self-care. I need to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. Put those different techniques in place. And then know that your health is the foundation of leadership, and a sustainable leadership, because you will not sustain, your body will shut down if you are at that point of burnout and you are not doing anything for it. So, I say you need to make sure that you do something before your body does something, and then you don't have any other choice. Okay. So I'm going to um, give us time for a few questions. Thank you so much to everyone who joined, who was active in the chat. I really appreciate you all. Let me know any other questions, any other thoughts. What are we managing as it relates to burnout? Who needs support? I have the QR code, the smaller QR code, and the link here for my, and I'll also put it in the chat, in the live chat. I'm gonna put it in a second for the book. But what other things do we feel like we need? What questions do you have as it relates to burnout? And maybe from what you just learned today, you may see that you may be at the point of burnout. And if that is the case, then, make sure that you just reach out to me so we can figure out some support for you. Definitely would love to support you all. And you can scan my survey for the LinkedIn Live, just a few questions. Ask how you like this session. I'm trying to be able to just give some additional info to our community around mental health and wellness, and especially in the workplace. So let me know what other topics you would like to see down the line. And thank you, Dr. Diagne. Thank you, Amy. Let me know what you would like to see. And then if you need any support, if you want to get on a listserv, you can add that on there as well. If you work for a company, organization who would like to get wellness support, wellness workshops, trainings, leadership development trainings, you can also add that on that sheet as well. And we can provide support for you. So I'll stay on for a few more minutes just to see if there's any other questions. But please, please, please connect with me on LinkedIn if you have not already. After you get our workbook, if you come back, I'll make sure to give you our Facebook group that's specifically for the workbook, where we can be your accountability partners to actually improving your self-care. But stay connected. Stay connected. Next month is Mental Health Awareness Month. I am going to be talking to leaders and to entrepreneurs all month. All of our posts will be around that. So stay tuned for that. If you don't follow us on Instagram, I have our Instagram here, Smile Therapy LLC. Please connect with us on Instagram as well. And we're also on Facebook, Smile Therapy Services. And I'm on Facebook just as my name as well. So thank you. Let me know any other questions, thoughts. We have about 4 minutes left. I'll pause to see if anything else. Christopher. Thank you, Christopher. I didn't show up here, but I see your comment. This was helpful. Thanks for presenting and reinforcement. Thank you for joining. Please stay connected. Dr. Hannah, thanks, Christy, for the reminders and the importance of taking care of ourselves first so we can continue to do the work necessary to keep thriving in the work we do. Yes, thank you. And Dr. Hannah is one of our therapists. One of our amazing therapists as well who are supporting our clients. So thank you, Dr. Hannah, for joining. All right. I'll have one more second to see if anyone else put any questions. But if you have any questions, put it in the chat. If I see it, I will respond to it after this live. But thank you guys so much. And we'll be on next month for our LinkedIn Live for next month. So definitely just, ring my bell so you kind of know when I'm posting and when I'm putting up the events. So until next time, see you. Everyone be safe. Have a great day.